Welcome back. We turn our attention now to Florida, where former US President Donald Trump is marking the Christmas holiday at his Mar-a-Lago resort. This year's celebrations, though, may be less than joyous. Trump faces numerous legal headaches, and joining me to talk about them is Gene Rossi. He's a former federal prosecutor and now an attorney with Carlton Fields in Washington. Thanks so much for being here on Christmas Day, Gene. Now, there's been some bad news in the run-up to the holiday season for Trump. The House committee investigating January 6th recommended criminal charges to the Justice Department. Of course, this is just advisory, but nonetheless, it's unwelcome news for the former president.
When it rains, it pours, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Thank you for having me. When it rains, it pours. Mr. Trump, former President Trump, is facing legal hurdles and challenges on many fronts. January 6th, his involvement, if any, in organizing that and encouraging that, the search warrant at Mar-a-Lago, his call to the Secretary of State in Georgia, the fake electors, and now the coup de grace is his tax returns seem to have some problems, if you will. So when it rains, it pours.
Yeah, in fact, in terms of his taxes, they have been released, but the full taxes are expected to be released just after Christmas. What is the desired outcome for Democrats, and what could be the consequences, do you think?
Well, here's the thing. I think the goal of the Democrats before they lose the House was to remind the people of America what actually happened on January 6th of 2021. It was the first time in our nation's history that a president who was soundly defeated, soundly and fairly defeated, refused to peacefully relinquish his power and leave the White House on January 20th at 11:59 a.m. And that is the goal of this January 6th committee. The second goal is, if there's any criminal conduct that they uncover, they want to make sure that the Justice Department is aware of that. And I think with this report, they have made recommendations about certain charges and certain individuals, including the president, and they now sending their findings, their thousands of interviews to the Justice Department, where they have a special counsel named Jack Smith, who is a tiger in the courtroom. He is very aggressive. And he is probably going to look at that evidence that's being handed over to him and see what, if any, crimes have been committed.
I mean, doesn't the IRS have a responsibility here too? Both Biden and Barack Obama were audited every year in office, but Trump wasn't. Did he receive favorable treatment from the IRS?
Of course he did. I worked for the Department of Justice Tax Division. I did civil or criminal tax cases for 11 years. And I can tell you this, the IRS, and I have a lot of friends who work there, whoever was running the IRS put their thumb on the scale and gave favorable treatment to the President of the United States, who should have been audited at least 3 of his 4 years in office, just like all the other presidents since Richard Nixon. So did they treat Mr. Trump favorably? Yes. Is that fair to the American people and the small town businessman and the individual who's a wage earner who possibly may be audited? That's not fair, because you treat everybody equally, even the former president of the United States and the current president when he was president.
Now, Trump has retreated somewhat into Mar-a-Lago, perhaps just for the holidays or perhaps just to sort of let the tide roll over a little bit. Does this physical retreat, do you think, reflect a more political retreat? Let's remember that Trump has a very strong voter base, a very loyal voter base. Is there a possibility that he could come back bigger and better than ever?
I don't think he's going to come back bigger or better than ever among voters outside of his base. But he once said that he could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and his hardcore supporters would still support him, and they probably say that it was self-defense. So among his core base, which is dwindling, he can basically do anything and they'll still support him. But among independent voters and Republicans who are not enamored with President Trump, I think he's losing his political viability.
All right, we'll have to wait and see. Gene, thank you very much for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Christmas day. Gene Rossi there, former federal prosecutor and attorney with Carlton Fields.